This part hurts my heart. I don't know. The show must go on. Every time I laughed in this movie, KOK was on screen.
Your Honor, can you tell these people that they can fix their marriage later, that their child is missing?
Lovers of African cinema, today we're reviewing Bank Alert, a 2023 comedy streaming on Prime Video after a cinema run late last year. Before we begin, please do me a favor, like this video. It's a little thing, but it really helps me out a great deal. Also, it tells YouTube that you like my content, and so it pushes my videos to you and takes away some of the guesswork. Something else that helps, subscribe. Are you subscribed? Thank you. Aren't you? Please do. Thank you. I appreciate it. Now, Bank Alert is written by Lucky Igbomor and directed by Akay Mason, and the producer is Okey Bakassi. For a synopsis, it says Sammy, a former crypto manager, loses his job after whistleblowing on company fraud. Blacklisted in finance, he faces desperation. His frustrated lawyer advises getting a loan to settle debts and save his marriage. Now, what are my general thoughts? Everyone loves a sudden wealth story, myself included. Do I not wish? This movie was released the same week as Ololade, which has a very similar theme. And when I saw how sort of similar they were, although Ololade is a series which we've reviewed, so would you check that out? Anyway, when I saw how similar they were, I was curious. Also, these two writers, they are both my friends, the head writer of Ololade, Lani, and this writer, Lucky, 2L names, both really proficient series writers, right? Lani is basically the king of web series. Now, I'm going to say that I watched this movie somewhat in juxtaposition with Ololade. Another movie that comes to mind that also shares a similar theme in the recent past is Sugar Rush, but that's older, so I wasn't really thinking about it when I was watching Bank Alert. This movie features Okey Bakassi, KOK, our favorite uncle, Kanayo, Kate Henshaw, Uzor Arukwe, Bolanle, Ninolowo, and a host of others. What worked? Let's start with cast and performances. That's always how I like to start. Okey Bakassi was the main lead, and he's more a comedian as far as, stand-up comedy than a comedic actor in a movie. Let me just say that he did okay. However, this is the what worked section, so I'm just going to put that on the side and come back to it later. My greatest surprise was Kanayo. Oh God. First of all, he had all the comedic scenes in this movie, whether it's because only he got the comedic lines, which I don't think that's the case, but definitely his scenes were the funniest. Every time I laughed in this movie, KOK was on screen, so he was amazing. I loved him in this role. I think his casting for this role was genius. I loved his deadpan delivery of humorous lines, his confidence, and just his absolute experience and mastery. He's such an amazing performer. Uzor Arukwe was another one, not a surprise. His character here as Modestus, I've already reviewed A Tribe Called Judah, so I'm not going to make much again of the typecasting thing, so just let me not. I did really like his characterization here, his dressing, he's calling everybody in one name, the accent. He's a fantastic actor. Please don't let him be typecast, please. He does really great in any role that he's given, but let him continue to exercise his diversity and not be put into that box. He was hilarious. He is hilarious, and he's a really great and versatile actor. Kate Henshaw was good. She's always good. I didn't like her character here very much, but that says nothing about her performance. This is about her acting and performance, and she's a fantastic actor, and she did not drop the ball here at all. Tina Mba is another person who's always a joy to watch. I love her, but casting her as Kate Henshaw's mom, I think that was just shade. That wasn't convincing. I'm sorry. I don't think that she should have been cast as Kate Henshaw's mom. I know that black don't crack, but there's limits to that, okay? Anyway, everyone else was fine, just with one key exception, and again, I'll come to that in the what did not quite work section. Production value, I think that this movie was just really, they were careful, a lot of it felt carefully and intentionally done. The sets were really good. They looked lived in, they looked believable, especially just that Okey Bakassi's house, that narrow hallway. Oh my God. May I never return to poverty. That house, it made me feel claustrophobic, and also the camera movements within that space was also really used to great effect in the storytelling, you know. And also the parents' house, his in-laws' house was also just, the sets were good. Uzor Arukwe, his character Modestus, that space also when they went to, because the locations as well, right, the neighborhood, and then when they went to Janta's place, that's Bolanle Ninolowo, his character, when they went to his hood, his terrain, his his makeshift Jamaica. That was also really good. There was really great attention to detail in this production. The costume and makeup were really good as well. Nothing stood out just as bad or egregious or, you know, offensive. The direction and cinematography were good as well for what this movie was. A lot of this has that caveat running under it, which is just, this was a simple movie, nothing too crazy, you know. So there were a few good shots and really nice framing of the actors, like I've kind of mentioned already. I wasn't mad at the visual and just the technical aspects of this movie. Like I said, nothing overboard, nothing too exciting, but this movie did not particularly call for too many shenanigans. Let's just say that. The soundtrack was all right a lot of the time. So let's go to my favorite part, which is always the story, plot, structure, pace, and all of that. This was a simple story. This is a familiar trope, quick money, get rich quick, whatever. Whew. Very Nigerian. That was the first thing that I loved. This is such a uniquely Nigerian story. It's been done many times, but this movie put a really nice, fresh perspective on it. This movie handled the trope, I think, the best of all the movies who have done something along these lines of money just showing up and what do you do with it. Especially in the very first act, this movie was really entertaining. I loved how well the setup, that's the whole setup to him finding the money in his account, how that was explained. Let me tell you, I learned a lot. One of the things I learned is that I better go and close all the accounts I've been living dormant all these years. I have so many dormant accounts. If you're still getting alerts, is it dormant? Because I still get alerts on this account telling me debit, credit. They're just playing their own games within themselves, because I'm like, I haven't looked at this account in 15 years, but you guys are still here sending me this and that. So I loved, you know, how all of that setup was explained. The plot flowed really seamlessly, and even when exposition was needed, it was handled very well, so it didn't feel like exposition. I loved the friendship between the two leads. KOK's character, you know, I'm forgetting his name now, the lawyer, and Okey Bakassi's character, Sammy. Their friendship was not, you know, they played off each other really well. I never had to question their friendship, and I've already said that I watched this movie somewhat in juxtaposition with Ololade, and this movie did that whole friendship thing better. If you've watched my review of that movie, you see that one of the things I mentioned was that the friendship between the men did not seem like really well done, and also the setup was better done here. One thing though that Ololade did better was with character consistently, and we'll come to that. Before I'm done with the what worked section, let me say that my favorite scene in this movie, my favorite scene in this entire movie was that scene when they went to eat after Sammy hammered, after he found out money. Listen, I don't know what it was about that scene, but it was just, I don't know if it was a comical expression on KOK's face. I don't know if it was the slow-mo, you know, that it was shot in. I didn't want that scene to end. It was just so special. I mean, such a simple meal, right? I mean, they were having such a basic meal, but it looked better than anything that you've ever had in a, I don't know, 5-star Michelin restaurant or whatever. That is something that I look for. When we say movies should be aspirational, it's not just about, oh, this movie should make me want to go out and succeed. It's more like, I see a setting and I want to see myself in that setting. Do you know what I mean? I wanted to be KOK in that scene. He had such a look of enjoyment, you know, just, I don't know, I wanted to experience, I wanted to experience that scene, even for something as commonplace as a plate of rice. There was something about that scene that was just really sweet. I don't know, I'm just going on about that scene. It was my favorite. Guys, have you liked this video? Have you? If you haven't, please like, subscribe, would you? And please share this video with your friends. Thank you. Let's get to what did not work. This part hurts my heart because I've probably said this in passing already, that this writer is my friend. I think of all the movies that I've reviewed so far, I could be wrong, but Lucky is the person whose movie I'm reviewing that I actually have the closest relationship with. So yeah, this is hard. I'm not gonna lie, you know, but I don't know, the party position must go on. So Lucky, forgive me in advance. I love you. I am so proud of you. You know this. But let's talk about this. Okey Bakassi. I did not like like Okey Bakassi's acting very much. He seemed a bit too self-conscious, a bit too self-aware. It's almost like, now, Kanayo, my friend said in Afamefuna, she said, I kept calling Kanayo Kayode. Hey, oh my shell. Anyway, maybe because Kanayo, KOK's character did not have the expectation of comedian on it, and so he was able to flow, or maybe just because he's an incredible actor with many years of experience under his belt. It could be just as simple as that. But I felt like Okey Bakassi's acting was too self-aware, just too self-conscious for me. It felt like he felt a certain expectation to be funny and ended up not quite. I don't know what it was, but excuse me, I didn't find him to be funny. There were lines that he delivered that I knew that those were supposed to be funny. They were written to be funny, but they fell flat. Those three children, let's just say they weren't terrible. It doesn't seem fair to put them in the what did not work section, but they also did not quite fit in the what. Am I having hiccup? That's going to be the worst thing that's ever happened to me while filming. Many years ago, somebody taught me that if you have hiccup, take the longest breath you can, hold it for as long as you can, and whenever you release it, it'll be over. It's never failed me. I hope I don't have to do that on this video. Anyway, let's continue. So I was saying that I just feel like I need to put those children somewhere, so they weren't terrible. Let's just say that. I don't have much to say about the technical aspects, so let's get to story, specifically plot events, but also a bit about pacing and then also structure. Let's start with character and characterization. The rest were good. Like I said, everyone except Sammy. I didn't like the character of Sammy, and I felt like he was inconsistent. There was no real character development or growth or change with this character, right? He started out honest. He literally lost his job because he blew up, he whistle blew, and blew up a crypto scam or something. So that's whom he was established as, only for him to end up really dishonest. But then this change, it was never like tracked or explained, and this is a simple fix, right? Like, he's gone through so many years of, by the time we meet him, he has been out of work for about 3 years. So it would be understandable if at any point in the movie, before he found the money, he had made a categorical statement and said pretty much in summary, who honesty up. Do you know what I mean? If the story had ever brought him to the place where he said, who honesty up, show him actually express, because sometimes, have you ever done something good and then something happens to you where you regret a good thing? It's always good to do good things, but somebody maybe does something back to you after a good deed that you're like, na me be mumu. You know what I mean? If the story had ever done that to where he's like, see me now, I was trying to be a good guy, look what happened to me, I wish I hadn't. So that then when this happens, we're like, we see his journey from honesty to dishonesty. However, I don't know, even to the end, he kept asserting his honesty, and that just did not work for me for that character. Also, they started out showing him as a family man, but I'm not gonna lie, none of his actions later down were in accordance with that. He was only about himself. His actions throughout, when his family was unsafe, he took himself away to safety, knowing that they had found his friend and they could just as easily have found his family. There was really nothing that he did. Even the way he handled the daughter's kidnapping, that I'll get to some of that later. Just the plot events just ended up not really his character was inconsistent. Let's just leave it at that. Then to the pacing, I think that the pacing could have been better. There was too much time spent in the beginning making the point about how poor he was. After the first instance or two, we got it, but it just kept going, so that the inciting incident was now pushed really way down. I think it wasn't until around maybe the 40-minute mark or so that we had like the whole money dropping in his account happen. It took way too long to get there, and if it wasn't that long, like 40 minutes, it felt that long because of all the events until that point. And then the girl was kidnapped, right, which was high tension, but then very quickly all the tension that was generated by that plot event was summarily lost in the scenes that followed. I mean,
marriage is a journey of two people becoming one. You've got to forgive Samuel.
Excuse me, your granddaughter was kidnapped.
You can see me. You are my son as well.
Sir, your granddaughter is missing. Your Honor, can you tell these people that they can fix their marriage later?
That their child is missing. So this whole thing was just, I was like, what is going on here? Did they have any way, that was literally a question I was asking myself while watching this, that did they have any way of knowing that the daughter was safe? Because even if I would have preferred that they acted speedily, but if they wanted to go ahead and do all of this family reunion, marriage, whatever thing going on here, if they wanted to do that, then they should have created, and this is how they would have easily done it. Modestus and Janta know each other. It would have been as simple as having Sammy freaking out about his daughter and having Janta say, who has her? Modestus, Modestus, no, I know him. He's a bad guy, quite all right. He's this, he's that, he's vicious. But let me tell you his code: never touch a child. There are people like that. There's some like bad guys, whatever, that they have certain, like never hit a woman. It can be, somebody can be the biggest criminal in the world, then he will have one little, they like never hurt a woman, something like that. So it was as simple as creating something like that, so that then we can understand why this character is, he will still be anxious, but it would make sense that he's not as, you can even give us an anecdote and say one of his guys, he chopped off his hand because he touched a woman that we had kidnapped or something, but just your daughter being in danger, you have no way of knowing that she's not in danger, but then being that chilled was just, I don't know, it was a choice. And then even better, right, like if they didn't do that, if they wanted to maintain the tension of the kidnap, then this was now down to structure. They should have had all the marriage fixing and all that stuff happen first, and then when it's like, oh, everything is now settled, we have money, we're about to get back into our honeymoon phase of our marriage and sail into the sunset, now the daughter gets kidnapped and we're like, oh my god, that would have worked as well. But the way it happened here just didn't work. Now I'm not sure what the point of Janta's character was. Whatever it was, it did not work. It was not, he was not very funny. His patois, they could have leaned more into that patois to make it funny. It just wasn't funny. And I love this guy, Bolanle Ninolowo. I love this. I remember him in that Biodun Stevens film. His name was never mind. I love this guy. He's a really good actor most of the time. When he gets the right role is what I'm going to say. But he was wasted here, And then charge of the rescue mission. I feel like that was just a way to give the character something to do. However, and in my opinion, a better story and would have given us more emotional currency would have been if we had an entire retired general here, right? Why didn't we use him? But then that would have made Janta redundant and his character, role superfluous to the story. So I guess that's why, we had him in here doing all that stuff, but it didn't work for me. Let's just leave it at that. Everything, just the plot events after the kidnapping were very odd. Settling marriage problems, negotiating kickback from stolen money. That phone call was upsetting. First of all, when he started saying that he didn't steal, I hate that the people in the film and the film itself left that claim uncontested. Till the end, it's like we're supposed to agree with this movie that he did not steal. Yes, he stole that money, wasn't his money. And I really hate that that was how this was handled. When that scene also for that phone call was actually very poorly directed. The rest of the directing was good, but that scene was very static in the way that the other characters, not only did they not dispute his claim of not stealing this money, but also they were just kind of hovering, like, because they didn't have any lines or actions written for them, so they were just like that there, instead of, we should have had some emotions on the wife's face when he's saying he didn't steal the money, like, yeah, you fucking did, So I don't know, I didn't like that. And then of course him negotiating money. What do you know your position here? Sir, they have your daughter, so even Modestus agreeing to the whether it's kickback or whatever, that was funny because there was literally no reason for him to even agree. It would have just been a matter of hang up on him and be like, oh, you want 10%? Okay, you're not serious. Do you know I have your daughter? So I don't know, that was wild. So just that whole third act was a little bit chaotic. All of it, the action. Look, first of all, I would have appreciated a more thorough like walkthrough on how, like, just more of a walkthrough on just the plot events in the third act as we did with that whole bank setup. I would have liked that. That whole gingering who fears death.
Spartans, what is your profession? Who?
That whole scene with Modestus and his guys before this thing, it was unnecessary because they had no reason to not expect a smooth exchange. They have somebody's daughter, you know what I mean? And they didn't know that Janta, did they know at that point? I don't think maybe I'm wrong, I could be wrong, and please let me know if I'm wrong, but I don't think at that point they knew that this guy had anything with Janta. I think the phone call with Janta happened when he was already there to get his daughter and do the exchange or whatever. So they had no reason to not expect just a smooth exchange, right? So there was no reason for that. I had a number of questions, things that were just down to, yeah, we said it, the biggest C I hate in story, which is plot convenience. Why would a criminal give away his location? Plot convenience. They let him answer a call, so they let him come here to their hideout, secret place, whatever, and then when he's here, they let him speak to some random person, just randomly answer a phone call. That was interesting. And then they released the girl when literally that is the biggest trump card or pawn that they have in their hands, and they just let her go. Again, plot convenience, because they wanted to get her out of the fight scenes that were coming. And also, he accepted payment in crypto, or did I not understand that well? He really accepted payment in crypto. I didn't buy that. Also, if Sammy traded with this money, shouldn't he have made a profit, which I understand he did, and then just give it all back? So not only is he a thief, he's also greedy, right? If anything, I think it should have been Modestus who is the one that was like, yo, you took my money and you used it and made a profit. I want interest on that profit. That would have made more sense to me. And of course, it would also have justified the rest of it, right? Like if Sammy is like, no, I earned this money fair and square, it's not your money, I'm not giving you anything, I would have accepted that better than him wanting 10% out of somebody's money after he's already used it to make a profit. No, so like I said, if it had happened the other way, that it was Modestus who was wanting more than what was taken from him, then it would have justified the rest. Because let's not forget, this whole action sequence that happened, all those deaths that happened, was because this man would not give somebody's money back. That's literally it. If he could have walked out of that place with his daughter, fine. I didn't have any hint that these other people were just going to kill him anyway. All this nonsense happened because he will not give somebody money back fully the way he took it. And just so I also, because of that and my feelings about it and what I'm going to term the morality of this story, I didn't like the way the fight went. I didn't like that all the so-called bad guys like either died or and all the things, and these other so-called good guys walked away. He was as bad as these other people, because to be fair, I don't even know what this guy's business. I don't know. I guess maybe money laundering, okay, yeah, but it's not your money, sorry. Whether I laundered the money, Obasarigi, it's not your money. I just could not with that. So go and return somebody's money, and don't make me try to root for the wrong person. I was not rooting for this guy getting away with all that money, having all these other people die. I could not root for that whole third act. And also, again, tracking back to the fact that this movie started out with him losing his job as a result of his honesty, for him to dig his heels this much about him not being a thief was really weird. So yeah, now I had so these are things that I could have called my friend Lucky and discussed with him and said, hey, whatever, but my promise to you guys has always been that I want to come to reviews without insider knowledge, insider info, anything, because there will always be a reason. Because for instance, as a writer myself, I can tell you that sometimes we get overwhelmed by the people paying us. We get shut down. We get, sometimes you literally are reminded that you're a hand for hire. Okay, so I could go into, hey, was this your idea or not, but the point is, the people who are watching the movie, they don't know any of that. All they know is what they saw, and then we can hear the backstory later. There's always something. There's always, oh, this scene happened like this because area boys came and scattered the equipment and this, and you will feel sorry for them, like, oh my god, film is so hard to make in Nigeria. But in the end, the product is the only thing that the people who go to see the movie in the cinema see. So in conclusion, I'm going to say that this movie was quite entertaining, especially, like I said, the scenes with KOK, but also there were a lot of small pockets of humor here and there, but not nearly enough to be strictly called a comedy. I wish this had been called, like the genre had been labeled comedy drama or something like that. This action, that's the whole action sequence, it was forced into the story. It was unnecessary. I didn't really like it. it. Most of all, I didn't like the message of this movie, like I said, about just the question of, you know, who was a thief or not. I don't know if it was intentional, but it felt unethical to me. That said, this was a very good effort by everyone involved. Like I said, the technical aspects were really good. The story was this story was handled really well, except when it started to fall apart, especially in the third act. Also, because Lucky is somebody that I talk to all the time and I know his politics, it was very fascinating watching his political commentary, because guys, writing is political all the time, okay? Art is political. So it was very fascinating watching his political commentary on family dynamics or family relationships within the marriage dynamic. And also I saw very clearly his understated sense of humor. So I want to say again to my friend, congratulations for your cinema debut, and I'm super proud of him. All right guys, that's it for Bank Alerts. Thank you so much for tuning in. You're still here, I appreciate you. If this video has been of value, please hit the subscribe button and please check out my other videos. Of course, I like to hear your thoughts also, so please leave them in the comment section, especially when you disagree with me. Some of you put egg on my face. Like my last review, I think it was Head Over Bills. Somebody left a comment that I was pretty much like, you didn't watch this movie, and she made some, I think somebody made some really good points, and I was like, it's true. I really was done with the movie from almost the opening scene, so I know I missed some critical things. So some of you put egg on my face, and that's okay, you know, because I truly don't catch everything, but I'm still good at this, okay? There's going to be a short version of this review in the description below, so please check that out and share with people that don't like long videos. You have the right to an incredible viewing experience. I don't know why I'm smiling so much. You have the right to an incredible viewing experience, so never settle. Thank you.